Hello, I'm Heather Jo Flores, and I've got my iPad here, and I'm going to go through 20 apps for permaculture designers, apps for the iPad and for iOS, so they also would work on the iPhone, and some of these do have companion apps on Mac, but this is really focused on the iPad, and I'm using the Apple Pencil to make permaculture design. So this overview will roughly follow a permaculture design process. So we'll start with finding your place in Google Maps and creating your base map, and then moving through all of the note-taking, data collection, observation, and communication, etc., all the way through rendering your design and then through presenting it to your community. I'm a big fan of presenting your designs and creating videos and lots of different ways to share your designs so that people can learn from your work and continue the tradition in their own communities. So let's just jump right in. The first things first is Google Earth, because who doesn't love Google Earth? Now, when you get to Google Earth, it's free, and in Google Earth, you see there's lots of different tools here. You can measure a site, you can look at it in 2D or 3D, you can search, you can look for where you live, and you can find your house, and you can look at it from a lot of different angles. And from here, you can take a screenshot, and you can just grab those images and put them right in your camera or send them to yourself or whatever it is that you want to do. So Google Earth is an indispensable tool for permaculture design. So from there are lots of different tools that you can use on different platforms. Now on the iPad, I really love this tool, Footpath. So Footpath allows you to, if you turn off snapping here, so what you can do is you put in any location, or you can say that it, will search for your location. You can turn your location settings on, and then you can either have it snap to grid, you can have it snap to where the lines actually are, or you can turn off the snapping tool and you can just draw. You can draw your path. And this amazing tool, Footpath, will measure it and tell you exactly how long the path is. So it's really great for measuring out perimeters and for starting to create a base map that is to scale. And then another tool that is indispensable is pretty much any image search. This is the one that I use. It's just called Image Search, and they do offer upgrades, but I've never gotten them because just the free tool is very simple to use. And you can use it to look up plants, for example. If you have a plant in your garden you're trying to identify, or a bug, you just take a picture of it and you just upload that to Image Search and you are good to go. So Apple Notes, which is the native Apple Notes app. So if you have any Apple devices at all, you have Notes. If you have a MacBook or an iMac or an iPhone or an iPad, then you have Apple Notes. And I use it all the time. And in Apple Notes, it's really great because you can stash photos. I even have a folder called Stash. You can stash photos, you can stash ideas. It syncs very easily between all of your devices. And it has this great drawing and sketching tool where you can sort of sketch out some basic designs. You can also import photos into this, and you can make notes about those photos very quickly. So it's really nice for field notes. So when you're doing observation, the Apple Notes native app is excellent. So along those lines, when you're doing observation and data collection, if you want something a little more sophisticated, then I recommend a free app. It's from Zoho, and it's called Notebook, and it's available for all devices. And Notebook allows you to very easily create checklists, and you can collect photos, you can do scribbles, you can add attachments, and I really like the interface. It makes these very cute little notebook covers. You can add your own, and I like to collect my music notes in this particular app, and it's a great place to start creating scrapbooks if you want to make sort of a virtual. It's a great place to make like a virtual plant press. You can take pictures of plants that you see, and you can identify them and create these beautiful scrapbooks in this free app called Notebook, which syncs up with all of your devices. So that's very nice. So along those same lines, there's a paid app called GoodNotes, which I really like because in GoodNotes, the thing I like the most about it is that you can create documents that are in a landscape mode. And so if you're creating, say, PDFs, let's say you're creating a PDF presentation of your permaculture project, and you want it to be very easy for people to view on the internet. So if you create something in landscape mode, then when people are on their computers, which are naturally in landscape mode, then you can scroll through the pages very easily without having to scroll around on the page. So I really like this GoodNotes 5 because GoodNotes allows me to do that. So As far as for taking notes on pictures, that tends to be a really handy tool to use your iPad or your iPhone for. So you snap a photo of something in the garden and you've got an idea of what you want to plant there, and you don't want to forget what you were thinking about. You don't want to think about the particular guild that seemed like a great idea at that time. So you can snap a photo you can go to a Notable, which is this wonderful app, and in a Notable you select a photo. And from there, there's all these tools. You can do a highlighter tool, you can add text anywhere, you can add arrows. It makes it very easy to add arrows. So a Notable is a great way to communicate with yourself or with clients, with students, with stakeholders about ideas that you have in the garden or ideas that you have about the site. And then later on, when you're creating presentations, you can also pull from those notes and put them together to make a really beautiful presentation. So moving on, so speaking of presentations, I think it's really important to get good at photography. If you're going to be taking pictures of your permaculture project, or if you're going to be making videos, try to learn some basic skills of how to create this media. So, as you can see, I'm not like a super professional video editor, but I'm learning how to take a good photograph because it's really important. So there are several really cool free tools for photography, and then several excellent paid ones. So I'm just going to show you one free tool and one paid one in this little video. So the free tool, everybody should just get it. It's totally free. It's made by Google, sponsored the guy who created Photoshop to create this free photo app. It's called Snapseed. So in Snapseed, you can edit any photo. It supports RAW. So if you happen to get a hold of some RAW photos and you want to make those really pop, or pretty much any photo if you have old photos, Snapseed is a wonderful app for getting comfortable with photo editing and learning how to do some tricks. And the trick that I love the best about Snapseed is their perspective tool. They just have a really accurate and fun perspective tool, and you can really change the feel of your pictures and make them feel sort of more romantic and dramatic, and that can be a really fun way to draw people into your presentation. So an app that is really worth the money, I think, is Ultralight. So most of these tools are free, but so far, GoodNotes 5 costs a few bucks, a Notable is I think 10, and Ultralight is I think 8. And Ultralight is my go-to photo editing app. And I use it all the time, and I often fall back on a lot of the same filters because I just really love the way they look, and I find myself deciding that these are my brand and that this is the ultralight filters are just, they really appeal to me and like what I want my pictures to look like. But beyond that, what I really love about Ultralight is how intuitive and comfortable the interface is. And you just kind of can cruise your way along, and you can fine tune your picture, and you can, add special effects and filters. And then my very favorite part about Ultralight, which I've not found easy to use in other photo editing apps, is the specific adjustment, selective adjustments tool. So it's this little tiny paintbrush, and in there now you can select. So see, my bottom corner of this picture is very dark, so I want to increase the brightness, but I only want to increase the brightness in this one little area. So this amazing tool allows me to do that, and then from there I can adjust it and I can really make it pop, and then it just blends it for me. And sometimes you can get sort of a sloppy blend, but you can continue doing that. You can be adding more layers of brightness, shadows, highlights, etc., and you can really have a lot of control over what your final photo looks like. You can adjust the size, and everything is just right here for you, and then you just pop back to library when you're ready to do the next one. So it's a lot of fun and well worth the investment. I use Ultralight all the time, every day. So if you want to have fun with a quick landscape design tool where you can import maps and you can import images, so these Google overhead images that you got, once you get all of your data and your information and you start wanting to render a design and wanting to create images that you can share with people, then Home Outside, which is an iOS app, is about $3, and I think they have a Mac version which is maybe $30. And they offer a lot of resources. They give you a lot of free little baubles, little bushes and shrubs and trees and pathways that you can connect together, and it's a pretty cool tool for getting comfortable with a layer-based editing system without all of the frills and confusion that can come with trying to use something like the Adobe suite of tools, which I'll mention in a moment, and other stuff. So, once you're at this stage now, what you're doing is you're rendering. We're calling this rendering the design. And from there, there's a lot of directions that you can go. And so I recommend learning how to do a layer-based design process and getting up over the learning curve of whatever tools you choose as soon as possible. Watching video tutorials and just starting to practice, and you'll get a lot more comfortable with it. It's terrifying at first and really frustrating and overwhelming, but just push through. Now, Concepts is a free tool that comes with an iPad, and I think you can get it for your iPhone. And I use Concepts all the time for diagrams and very simple, precise vector-based drawings. But Concept is an amazing tool, and there's so much more that you can do in here. And the best thing about Concepts is that you can insert your scale. So you can set the scale, and you can import a map, and you can do your entire design on a map that automatically calculates the scale for you. So that can be really helpful. So one app I wanted to mention, even though if you have an iPad, you probably already have this app, but Procreate is an excellent app for all things visual art, and you can definitely use it to make a permaculture design. So I use Procreate for all of my educational tools, and I use it to sort of file different creative ideas and, copies of my paintings, and I'll brush over them and so on. And from Procreate, you can just do so much in Procreate. The interface is very simple, and honestly, if you're thinking about getting into digital design and you're thinking about getting a device but you're not sure what to get, I would almost recommend getting the iPad just because Procreate is just so good. There's so many tools in here. So moving on, as you're rendering and as you're doing observation, as you're collecting photos, then you're also going to be brainstorming and you're going to be wanting to collect your ideas in this sort of mind mappy way. And so for mind maps, I really recommend something called Mindli. And Mindli is a circular-based mind mapping tool, and it's very simple, and you can just make basic lists, and you can add notes and colors and icons, and you can export those. The best thing about Mindli is that you can brainstorm in this sort of non-linear way, and then you can export the text as an outline into whatever app you want. And so I use Mindli a lot to sort of flesh out ideas and then import them into like Google Docs as text, and then from there I'll expand into an article or something. So as you're developing your presentations, and then also as you're starting to work out your systems, before that, as you're collecting information and figuring out how to organize everything, Mindli might be really helpful for you as far as starting to get those lists going. Now, depending on how your mind works, there's another similar app called CardFlow. And CardFlow is great because CardFlow is this, it's an index card app, basically. It's just like physical index cards, and you put your notes, and then each one has two sides, and you can, you tap to flip it. And the best thing about CardFlow, and why I think it's really worth the upgrade, is because you can link from card to card to card. So I use CardFlow, like, for example, to design a website workflow, but you can also use CardFlow to design your permaculture system. So each card is a component in your system, and you link them together via links, virtual links on your iPad, and you can really start to understand how your system works with using CardFlow. So that's really an amazing app. And moving on about presentation. So there's just a couple more apps that I want to show you, and all the rest of them are about presenting your work, which I think is a really important thing to do. And even if you're not planning to present it publicly, it's important that you create some notes and some presentations for yourself for later on when you're evaluating your mistakes, or you're evaluating your progress, and you're trying to decide what to do next on your design. Having created some portfolios of your previous work are going to be really helpful for you. But I am here to push you to share your work more with the world, because they need to know how to do this stuff, and I'm sure you're doing something beautiful. So there's there's sort of a progression of apps here in degree of difficulty. So I'm going to start with Google Slides, which is just super easy. Google Slides is amazing. You can use it to make amazing presentations, and it's very intuitive, and if you've just used any sort of Google stuff before, you totally know how to do it. And you just put your pictures in there, and you put your text in there, and you just keep trying until you get it. And you can export to a lot of different formats, and I recommend from there you export to PDF, and then you can upload it, and you can share that everywhere, all over social media, or embed it in your website, or whatever you want to do. So another way that you can export those slides is as images, as a set of images. Perfect Video is amazing because it's this $5 app, and it allows you, it creates this board that you can use to organize your presentation. So you can drag and drop these images around, and you can change your presentation right there. And I really appreciate that type of storyboard so that I can see my presentation easily in advance and rearrange things how I like. A lot of the other video editing apps make it a little harder to do that, or it's all on one linear timeline, and I really appreciate the grid where I can move things around and pop them up and down, and then you can adjust the length. So if you're creating video slideshows out of sets of images, then Perfect Video is a great way to go, and it's $5 and it's just this weird little obscure app. So another way that you can create a video out of your PDF download, so you make the PDF on Google Slides, you put together this beautiful presentation about your project, put your pictures in there, put your text in there, you've got your design project. From there, now you export to PDF, and then you import that into this really cool free app called Komodo Decks. And from there, you can narrate your slides one by one as you go through, and you basically give your presentation while you're scrolling through your PDF document, and that generates a video for you. And then you can upload that to YouTube, and you can share that all over the world, and people can hear your voice and see your presentation. So if you want to take that a step further and basically build that presentation, so you've built it in Google Slides, you've exported it to one format or another, and then now you've gone to the next step of creating the video presentation. If you want to do all of that at once, then this handy little app called Vidra Plus allows you to do that. So in Vidra, you can put your images in, you put your text in, you put all of the information in, you put your maps in, you do your voiceover, you do it all at once right there in that one document. And then you can export to PDF, you can export to video, there's lots of ways to save it and share it from there. So Vidra Plus is pretty cool. It's a paid app. I don't know, it's like $12 and it's totally worth the money. There's a similar app called Vidal Pro, which I love. I just love the look of it. It's a beautiful little app. It does lots of really cool stuff. And one of the best things I love about Vidal is that you can you can set all your colors. So like if you have brand guidelines, then you can stick to those. And Vidal's really cool because you can make videos of stuff moving around the screen, So like you can draw something, like I just drew this little thing, and then you can slide it around like this. So then it makes a video, and you can't actually see my hand, so you just see the thing moving around the screen. So you can make some really cool little animations using this Vidal Pro, and imagine now you can import your images. You can add all these different things, pictures and text, and you can add your PDF, and you can make presentations, and then you can do animated drawings and arrows and things that move across the page while you're discussing it. So these are really cool apps, right? So Komodo, Perfect Video, Vidra Plus, Vidal Pro. This whole time I'm talking about making cool videos about your design projects without actually getting in front of the camera yourself. You're just voicing over the images that you created for your design project. So this last app that I want to share with you, and it's an amazing app, and it's taking me a minute to learn how to use it, and they offer an amazing support base that just walks you through every step on their website. The app itself is $30, and that includes all future updates, and is just worth every penny, and it is the app that has made video editing accessible for me, finally, in my life, and it's called LumaFusion. And this app is for taking all of those pieces and parts, once again, and you can add your text even right in LumaFusion, or you can create images in Canva, or you can create PDFs and turn them into images, or you can import your maps. There's lots of different things that you can import, all sorts of different files that you can import here into LumaFusion. You can make a lot of different kinds of movies, and it's very simple to use, and the interface is very intuitive. And now you can be bringing in images. You can make something like this particular video that I'm making right now. So the talking head part of this video I shot on my Mac on the built-in camera app called Photo Booth. Most computers have a webcam these days, and you'll have a little built-in webcam app, and that's where you can shoot yourself talking to your computer. And then the iPad part of this, I shot with the screen recording feature on my iPad, and then I used LumaFusion to edit it all together. So that's what I have for you, and feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and come check out our new digital tool shed, and that's at permaculturewomen.com/digital toolshed. And I'm going to be trying to come up with lots of really cool tools for people to use in their permaculture journey. Thanks.